Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, as you can see, the topic is Hockey Blast by Play.com. It's another Keith Avalone sports simulation board game. And while it is one of my favorite games, tonight we're not going to be looking at gameplay, but this short video is going to be on the topic of gameplay enhancements in the form of game boards and score sheet that I put together. So for those of you that have been playing this game for quite a while, you know that in the original version, this is the game board that Keith put out with the game. You know, certainly functional, and this represents the way that Keith still prefers to play his creation to this day, which is as you're playing the game, you have all the players on the ice for each team visible and just those players visible. In a game of Hockey Blast, while the gameplay is only about 30 to 45 minutes, after most segments of play, which will have you rolling the dice a couple times, you're going to have a line change, and it's going to involve you rotating through all stacks of these cards. So obviously you're not changing out the goalies, but it means you're going to have to pick up each stack, take the next card and put it down, take the next stack and put the card down, and repeat that all the way around. Now for some of us, actually picking up these stacks can sometimes be a little bit cumbersome and fumbly, but the point is, for me, hockey is a very fast-moving game in real life, and this game can actually play that way too. And it's just a little bit of a hindrance when you get bogged down in a line change and having to flip through, pick up a stack and flip and move on. Now, many gamers have come up with their solutions to this. Some people use business card holders where they'll actually have the lines of cards set up in one plastic holder, and that way they're just flipping a line here, and the defensive lines on the other side. And that works, and it allows you to keep this nice clean view of the action where, again, you're seeing the matchups and you're just seeing the players that are on the ice at that time. So when I got the game a few years ago, I immediately set out to improve the experience for myself, and I came up with what is now been referred to as a grid system. So this is the 11 by 17 grid system game board that I came up with a few years ago, and I also published a 2-page version for people that didn't want to go to a print shop, a FedEx, a Kinko's, and print this out. They could download and print out at home their own version, just printed out on 2 regular sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper. And let me show you what it looks like populated with the game pieces. So here's how the board looks when you've got all the skaters represented for both teams. And what you do is you either use the tokens that come with the Hockey Blast game, or you get some game pieces of your own that you have lying around the house, and you simply mark which units are on the ice. So right now, if I had these tokens where they are, that would tell you that the Flyers have their top line on the ice, and when there's a line change, you simply move the tokens to denote which line is now on the ice, and you can have your defensive pairings independent of your offensive lines. I also had spots to denote who had possession with this puck icon, so you just take a black marker and move it to denote who has possession, and finally a momentum marker to denote who possibly has momentum, and then you can use a blue marker to denote submission. So I got lots of good feedback, and it worked really well. What I like about this format is that I'm not as schooled in hockey as I am in football and baseball. As a matter of fact, if I probably was, I wouldn't have just haphazardly laid out these lines like I did tonight, because I know someone is pausing the video and looking at the lines that I've created and has a problem with it. Those of you who are more adept at Hockey Blast than I am. So that's not the point of this video, but thanks for looking. So for me, to be able to see at any given time, if a situation comes up and I know I need a certain player on the ice, someone with a high fight rating, someone who can stop a power play, someone who has a better scoring opportunity, I can see those players at a glance all at once, whereas before I'd have to pick up each deck and rifle through to see who was on which line because, I wouldn't remember. So for me, this is absolutely essential to playing the game. And as you're done rolling the dice and you resolve a minute, instead of having to flip through 10 stacks of cards to shuffle the cards to get to the next, rifle through to the next line, it's, unless you're doing a line skip or a double shift, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and roll the dice. It is so much nicer. Again, it's personal preference. I know that some folks do not like to play this way. They either have their own method or they play it straight out of the box with the stacks. The board had a couple other spots. It had a special place for the visitor goalie and the home goalie over here. And it had a penalty box, which I threw in because I had the extra space. But to be honest with you, it's not needed. You can just use some sort of marker to denote, who's off the ice that way. So I got a lot of great feedback on this board, and I really appreciate all the kind words that people have said over the past few years. So this worked great. And then came along Keith's update earlier this year. So with the update came this cool new, much more interesting game board. So again, here's the original that came with Hockey Blast, the original edition, and here's the updated edition. Much more colorful, much more thematic. And I saw this board and I was like, well, cool, I'm going to try stacking the cards again and play the way that Keith still prefers to play the game. So I got my teams, I put the 10 stacks on the board, I put the goalies at their end, and I played one period. And while I really do appreciate this game board, after one period, I pretty much had enough, and I emailed or I messaged on Facebook my friend Steve Tower of After Further Review with Steve Tower, and I told him I was going to work on a new board and would he be interested in being a sounding board for me as I went through the process, and he graciously accepted my offer. And over the past week I've been working on a new board, and I thought I'd show you guys the Genesis, the very first version, which is very close to the final version that you're going to see tonight, is right here. Now you'll notice that I took a lot of design cues from Keith's board, and there we go. So I do have a 2-page version, which I'll show you, but here's where I went with this. Again, just like my original board, you have spots to denote who's live on the two different offensive sides and defensive sides. And pretty much a carbon copy had a spot for a penalty box, which again, not really used, and a spot to denote the goalies. Now, when you lay out all the cards on this board, obviously a lot of this artwork is going to get covered up, and I understand that. But still, it does look nice in your table, nevertheless. Also has the spots to denote who has possession. Again, it's just a matter of putting the marker there, and the same thing for momentum or submission. You've got your spots for your markers, makes it easy to keep track of what's going on. While this does sort of, this was fun to work on. Because I've been getting a lot better with Adobe Illustrator and the Adobe suite of tools. So this was a fun project. But as we were getting close to being done with this, Steve said to me, it's too bad that the goalie cards can't be where the goals are represented on the board. And I said, yeah, that's just the problem, is there's just no room. When you have all these cards on the board, we just have to have a bigger piece of paper. I don't want to do that. It's inconvenient for folks. It's just not going to work out. We have to stick the goalie in the corner. And then I had an idea. What if we somehow still have the goalie down here, but somehow call it out like it's a zoom. Keith's game has a, I think it's after playing the game, there's this one result called zoom, and where it says close-up camera shot of one-on-one player matchup. And I think it was that idea of a zoom result that had me think, well, wait a minute, why can't we zoom in on the goalie and have a little call out here to help with the immersion? And Steve said, oh yeah, then you can have a goal there, which was a great idea, but forced me to have to create a goal from scratch because there was nothing available on the internet that really worked for this top-down view with this sort of clean line draw look that I was going for. But luckily, I was able to figure it out and came up with this finished product. So here it is, my Rev D updated Hockey Blast game board. I call it Rev D because the previous one that I was showing earlier was Rev C, so we're now on Rev D. And you'll notice that I now have spots for the goalies. And I'll show you. I also have a 8.5 by 11 version that you can print out on two different sheets, and I'll show you a close-up so you can see what I did. So that isn't a card. That's just the effect, the 3D effect there to make it look like it's popping off the page. But you go ahead and put your goalie on that spot. Let's grab Bernie Perrant, and it has a better visual for you when you're playing the game. So you've got your goalie down there in front of the goal, ready to make the stop. And as Greg Eno and a couple other folks noticed, when I posted this image to Facebook, I even have the Gatorade bottle sitting on top of the net. So it was a lot of fun creating this new board. I know there's a number of people that like to play the game this way, and it's always fun kind of giving back to the community and getting the positive feedback. I'm really looking forward to getting this out there. I'm going to go ahead and post it this evening. The links that you'll see down below in the show notes are now live. You'll be able to go ahead and download it by the time this video is available. There'll be this version, the 11 by 17 that I recommend you take into a FedEx Kinko store and just have them printed on 11 by 17 cardstock, or you can print out on your own cardstock at home. This version, because the center ice gets chopped when you do this version, I move the Hockey Blast and Play logos up top, but that's really the only difference. Functionally, it's the same. There are, it's hard to see on camera, but there are dashed lines to give you an idea. I think you should see it there, to give you an idea of where the card separations are. The cards pretty much align themselves, so there was really very little need to draw darker lines on the ice. That sort of just takes away from the effect of the board. And yeah, I hope people enjoy it. Love to hear what you guys think about it. It does help make the game play faster, so it's not just for looks. For those of you that don't have Hockey Blast and wondering what the big deal is about the board, it's not just for looks, it's also to help us who like to keep the game moving at a fast pace do that. Something else that I did, a lot more minor, because Keith's score sheets that come with Hockey Blast are great as they are. This is an example of one of Keith's score sheets. It's very functional, and I've used it for a long time, but I figured, what the heck? I just came up with a new second season score sheet, so let me take take a try at Hockey Blast. So I've come up with my own score sheet, and I'll go ahead and show that to you guys. I'll go ahead and have to do a close-up. So it's got pretty much all the same information up top. Your major scoreboard section with the score, shots on goals, penalties, penalty minutes, power play opportunities, power play goals for each team, the goalies, their saves, goals against, and a spot for the date and series, like game 1 of 7, game 2 of 7, something like that. For each minute of play, this is how I like to record the game, and this is something, again, that Steve Tower and I were talking about earlier. You can use these two lines at the left of the box to write in the particular code for that minute of play, whether it's a goal or a missed shot. Depending on if you write it on the top line or the bottom line, that just denotes, was it the visiting team on top or the home team on the bottom that missed the shot or made the goal. And then you can write information about who made the goal and the assists in this box. Then I have up top for each period, I have boxes for you to check off for when you do your line skips or double shifts. And then over here, I like to keep track of power play minutes, and I found a very easy way to do that was to create some check boxes. So whenever there's a visitor or home power play minute, you just check off the box. It makes it easier to count up at the end of the game. That's pretty much it till you get to the bottom. At the bottom, we have spots for overtime minutes, free-form boxes for 5 overtime minutes, and then if it gets to a shootout, a spot to record the results of 3 rounds at a sudden death shootout, and then lastly at the very bottom, summary of the shorthand that I use for the score sheet, which is pretty much off the back of the Hockey Blast manual, and the reminder of how to distribute final shots on goal at the end of the game, as well as penalties, because this is not a game where you're resolving every single pass of the puck and every possible shot. It's just focusing in on the more interesting actions, minutes of action during the game, so you have to do a little bit of that kind of bookkeeping at the end. So that's it. That's all I've got for this video tonight. I will go ahead and record myself playing a game one of these days and get that on my channel. But for now, I wanted to spread the word that a new game board was available. Hope you guys enjoy it. I hope it adds to the experience. It's already a great game. And add-ons like this that I've done for now 2nd season, and History Maker Baseball as well, I make for myself to increase the immersion factor, and I enjoy sharing them. So hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.